Hi, I'm Susan. I haven't met many of you before. I joined Sunday Club just before lockdown, so I think I've met a couple of you. I've seen many of you on Zoom and had lots of fun listening to your stories, especially love the Lego because my son, who is quite grown up now, loved Lego as well. But I'm not sure how James is going to work around this one this week, because this week I'm going to talk to you about growing. And I'm a huge gardener and I love my garden and I love growing plants and I love growing vegetables and fruit. I'm not always very successful. But we're also going to look at growing from how can we grow in the Bible and in our faith. And that sounds really deep and really big. But at your age and my age, we can do this in small stages and we do a little bit at a time. So I'm going to take you through what happens in my garden and in my greenhouse. And as you'll be able to tell from the beginning of the pictures I show you, I'm a very messy gardener. I love my garden to look wild and rough and rugged, and most gardeners would probably be very upset if they saw what I did. But I put plants in the ground, and if they grow, it's brilliant. If they don't grow, I dig them up and I move them somewhere that they like. And plants are like people. They have things that they like and things that they don't like. And sometimes we don't always know what they are at the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some early pictures of my greenhouse, and that was done round about beginning of July time. I was really late this year getting stuff in the ground, so haven't been quite as successful as I could have been. And I also don't have a heater in my greenhouse, so that holds me back a little bit because seeds need a lot of looking after. They need water, they need soil, and they need some warmth to help them grow. And I'm going to look at what we need that will help us to grow. And sometimes we need water and warmth. And if you think about, we have our mums make our tea. If you're lucky, I'm a mum now and nobody makes my tea for me, so I have to do it myself. And I like to eat. I like to drink water and tea and coffee like everybody else. And I also like to have a roof over my head which keeps me dry. So we need all the same things that plants need to grow, but also we do need a little bit of love and tender care, and my plants definitely need love and tender care. And we're going to look at how, by honing in on certain bits in the Bible, we can get love and tender care from the Bible. So we'll see how it goes. This might not be my first attempt, I might have another go at it, but as I say, I'll show you some early pictures and then I'm going to give you a wee quiz, and then I've got a little bit of a drawing activity. I unfortunately don't have any little people to help me, so it's going to be me on my own unless I drag Paul in and help him with my garden, because he likes to do all the heavy grafting work, but he's not allowed to weed. But don't tell him, because he pulls out my plants thinking that they're weeds, so I don't let him weed. So here goes. Now, I promised you I was going to take you to the garden, and I am. But first of all, I thought I'd better do what I'm supposed to do, which is give you some profound words from what I have found in the Bible. So, to tie in with the bearing fruit, which is what we plant. We plant for food and for beauty. And Luke says that those who listen to and obey God's word will bear fruit for God's kingdom. And we all need to obey God's word, and God will cause our faith to grow. So I'm hoping that we can, every time I show you something new about the plants or the seeds, that we can maybe think about the little stages that each of these plants take to get to the point where they have completed their whole life cycle. Because most of the plants I have in the garden, they have a life cycle. They start off as a seed, they grow, they produce their fruit, and then they die. And we're no different. We have to find out how do we want to grow, and what are we going to use that's going to help us grow. Now, it turns out I'm not very good at technology, so this is my photo album from the 14th of July, and these are the strawberry plants, the tomatoes, cucumbers, courgette, some flowers that I had planted out, which are looking lovely now. Kale, potato and lettuce, and peas and mange too. 2 weeks later, and we have got strawberries, and this year has been one of our best years for strawberries, but we have somebody scoffing our strawberries, and we thought it might have been slugs, and then we thought it was maybe birds, which is why we've put this net over, but we've discovered quite recently that we think it might be frogs, and we think the frogs are in there chomping away on our strawberries. And we also have a problem with our raspberries, and believe it or not, these are raspberries which have been chomped on by the birds, and we watch the birds and they sit on the ground and they jump up and they bite off bits of the raspberries. But fortunately there are many raspberries, so we get as many as we need and the birds can have as many as they like. And this is all our raspberries, so there are lots and lots of raspberries, plenty to go around for everybody. Now I have a small quiz for you. I have 6 things here that I grow in my garden, and I'm just wondering from the seeds whether you can tell what plant or fruit or vegetable they grow into. So I'll try and zoom in on each one and see. So number 1, that looks a wee bit easy, but it might not be. Number 2 is very common, and that picture really makes it a wee bit difficult. Number 3, you might be a wee bit surprised at. Number 4, that's an easy one. Number 5, that is a little bit trickier. Probably most of you will eat these. Some people might not like them. And number 6 is not a brilliant picture, but we'll see how we get on. And now the answers. So number 1 was strawberries. So if you can see the seeds on the outside of the strawberries. Number 2 was an apple, and there's the seed in an apple. Number 3 was a cucumber, and you've maybe never really noticed before, but the cucumber seeds are in the middle of the cucumber. Number 4 was potato. Number 5 was tomatoes, and the tomatoes do grow from these tiny little seeds. And number 6 was peas, and the pea, once it dries out, is what you actually grow pea pods from. Hi, so I'm going to look at John chapter 15, and he talks about the vine and the branches, and I think if we think of ourselves as a plant, when we read the Bible, it's telling us that we have to do the right things in order to bear fruit. And I think for me, from a simple point of looking at this, it means I have to do the right things to be a good Christian. And I think I'll let John say the rest, so please don't fall asleep while I'm reading this. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. So what we're saying here is that we need to tidy up the plant. So for the plant to grow well and to give you good fruit or vegetables, we have to tidy up. So we have to make sure that certain plants, my raspberry bushes, they need to be trimmed back every year. If I don't trim them back, then the new growth that comes up has put too much energy into the new growth and creating fruit, and then the old growth. So you need to cut back all the old growth to let the new growth come through, to let the new fruit come through. So John carries on saying, I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me you can do nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me, and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be given. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. So John's talking about his people being good people. I think that's what he means by this. And if we do the right things, then we will become the right kind of people. So we're looking at the soil, the sunlight, and the water for the plants. They take in the nutrients and they give out. So when they're taking in good nutrients, they give out good flowers and good fruit. And we're being asked to take in good things, to be good and to take in good things, and that will allow us to be good people. And I think if we follow really simple things, just be nice to each other, be kind to each other, then what we put in to other people, we should get back from them as well. And John carries on and says, as the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you obey my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have obeyed my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. So what we're saying is that when we're kind to people, people should be kind back to us. I know it doesn't always work out like that, but the kinder you are to people, people will look at you, people will think, oh, that's a nice person, I want to spend time with that person. And when I'm kind to my plants, they grow really well. And when I'm not kind to my plants, they generally die on me. And I'm not very good with houseplants, and they usually die on me. So I'm hoping that you might take on a wee challenge, and when you next have a tomato or an apple or an orange, you could try popping that seed into a little pot and putting some soil in it and seeing what grows. And what we could try and do is say maybe in a couple of months' time, we could come back and see whose plants have grown and whose haven't. It won't always be because we didn't do the right thing. It might just be that that seed wasn't a very good seed and that seed wasn't going to grow, as the Bible has already told us in previous stories, that sometimes when we scatter the seed, sometimes it grows really well and sometimes it doesn't. So it could be a bad seed, or it might have been that there was one day you forgot to water it, which happens. So let's try the challenge and see in, let's say, 2 months' time, we'll see who's managed to plant a seed from something that they've eaten and how well you've got on with it. Hi. Now, for our craft, I thought we could try and make a plant from our hands. I did this a long time ago, and it's actually quite a fun thing to do. So I'm going to show you a picture. The plant that we're going to make, we make with our hands. So we've got here the bottom hands are like, the fingers are like the roots going into the ground. You've got a stem, and then the leaves are closed hands, and the top part is your flower. Now you can do this either by cutting out different colours of paper, or you could paint your hands and use handprints. And I'm going to try and use a little bit of a mixture, more like a decoupage, and I'll show you that in a minute. Right, I've been for a rummage and I found I sew, like Helen. I do lots of things. I sew and I knit, and I have managed to find some fabric which I think I'm going to use for the ground, the soil, and I have got no glue, so I'm going to use double-sided sellotape, which is extremely sticky, so I'm probably going to get in a mess. And I'm going to try, and I'm going to cover my roots, which is down the bottom here, and I'm going to layer that up I think with the brown I found kind of a brownie coloured fabric, so I'm going to use this brownie coloured fabric for that. And then I'm going to find, I've got some green tissue paper, and I'm going to use my stem, and I'll build up the stem with the green tissue paper, and then I will decoupage, I think, the top of this one with the flowered wrapping paper, and we'll see how it turns out. So I'm going to do a little bit, and then I'll come back to you, and then we'll see if it's finished and what it looks like. Okay, so I have done that's my roots, and then my stem, and then coming here, I haven't glued these down yet, but these are all little bits of the wrapping paper, so I've cut them all up small-ish to make the shape of the fingers, and I'm going to stick all them down. So once I've stuck them all down, I will show you what I've come up with, and then I'm really looking forward to seeing if anybody has managed to do this for show and tell on Sunday. And good luck. Let's see how it goes. Thank you. Now, here is my finished article. So I have stuck down the hand flowers. I think that looks quite pretty. And I have redrawn my hand on the stem. Didn't work out quite as well. And I have the fingers for the roots. And if we're going to round off, we're going to, I suppose the memory verse you could try, it's not a long one. So Luke 8:11, the seed is the word of God. And I think for all of us, if we remember that the Bible is our sunlight, and that means that everything we do, we want to shine on to the people that we are talking to, engaging with, and if we follow the Bible, then that becomes an easier lesson for us to carry on. So I'm really looking forward to, once again, I'm really looking forward to seeing all your pictures at the end of all of this, and thank you. I thought I would take you one last trip around the garden. Somebody came to visit. I'm not sure if he's going to say hello. Loki, you going to say hello? No. He just digs up my plants, so I have to watch what I'm doing when he's around. And we'll give you one last look around the garden. Oh, look, somebody's saying hello. And then that'll be me finishing off. So it's been a horrible day today. It's been pouring with rain, but that doesn't stop the plants from growing because they love it when it rains. Right, I'm going into the garden. It's pouring with rain, as it's been such a lovely summer so far after a really nice springtime. And this is I'm going to try and walk the way we walked a few weeks ago. So these are the strawberry plants. There's not a huge amount of strawberries left, but we're picking our way through the last of them. Still quite a lot of green ones, there's quite a lot of mouldy ones just now because it's getting that kind of weather. And then over here we have our very sad looking potato plants, and I think we're going to have to dig them up, so we might just dig them up in a wee minute. An awful lot of things are just not really growing at all. But the kale is going well, and these are a healthy looking potato plants, and these are the lettuce and the peas, as you can probably see. There's the pea pods. Can't see them. And I'm not sure, some of these are mange too, and some of these are peas, so I'll find out when I pick them, and they don't taste very nice. And my helper Paul is picking raspberries for our pudding, but we're getting to the end of the raspberries and some bits as well.
He's not quite ready yet. But
say hello.
Hello.
And we're getting soaked.
He's getting soaked. But if we don't get these raspberries, the birds will eat them.
Yes, the birds have been having a fair load of them. But they've had a lot this year. It's been nice. And we've not picked. We have got blueberries. They've not turned blue yet, so we've no idea whether they will take. And we have got very, very red gooseberries, and they are delicious when they're as red as that. We have a cooking apple tree which fell over 2 years ago because there were so many apples. I have a horrible feeling it might fall over again. So we've got it propped up with wood just now, and we'll see what happens. This is a really good tree. It's not very big, but it gives us lots and lots of apples. And this is another little apple tree, but these are eaters. But they never actually taste very nice. I don't think they get enough sun in Scotland, or this variety is not so good. But they're just little trees, but they give us a lot of fruit. Paul is now going to try and dig up my very sad looking potatoes. So we'll see what comes out.
Little ones.
They're all very little ones. That rotten one on the end, that is the one that you plant, that the plant comes from. One more to see what happens. So we'll have these for tea tomorrow and see what they taste like. I hope you've enjoyed my garden and the journey around my garden, and that you've enjoyed seeing where the plants grow. You've maybe got some of these plants in your garden anyway. If not, give it a try. I'm a great believer in chuck it in the ground and see what happens. I've just suddenly realised actually I forgot to put leaves onto my plants, so hopefully your plants will look much better than mine. And I'm going to close with a very short prayer. So, kind hearts are the gardens, kind words are the roots, kind thoughts are the flowers, kind deeds are the fruits. Take care of your garden and keep out the weeds. Fill it with sunshine, kind words and kind deeds. Thank you. Bye bye.